The senses: balance, emotion, and smell. By me. Growing up, we are taught that we have five senses: sight, sound, touch, smell, and hearing. Our senses are bridges that connect us to the world we live in. However, have you ever wondered how your brain processes any of those senses? Do you ever wonder when they develop and why? Well, throughout this presentation, you will learn how the senses that I will be discussing develop, whether they are essential to our survival, disabilities if the senses were harmed, and if they can be remediated if there is a deficit. The first sense coming up is balance and motion. Let's take a journey into the development of this sense. Balance and motion, also known as our vestibular system. According to Eliot, the vestibular system is a sixth sense that allows us to perceive our body's movement and degree of balance. The other main senses are external senses. However, balance and motion, aka the vestibular sense, which is what it will be referred to throughout this presentation, is an internal sense. It helps with moving smoothly, maintaining a sense of balance, and sitting and standing upright. The vestibular system begins to develop in the womb. Once a baby is born, it's strengthened and stimulated through movement and changes in position. The way it works is your ear is a complex system of bone and cartilage. Within, it is a network of canals. These are called semicircular canals. The canals are filled with fluid. The position of the fluid changes with movement. A sensor in the ear then sends the information to your brain to contribute to your sense of balance. These and other delicate pieces make up the vestibular system. Some major causes of disorders are medicines, infections, inner ear problems, calcium debris in the semicircular canals, and or traumatic brain injury. Some of the ways that it works is when you know you're lying down. If you're lying down and you're aware that you're lying down, that's part of your vestibular system. When you know that you're standing in a moving elevator, vestibular system. Knowing that you're sitting up versus standing, vestibular system. A child with vestibular dysfunction can also show alterations in communication skills, changes in cognitive impairment, psychological disorders such as social isolation, as well as poor school performance. Moreover, most of the time, children do not know how to report or describe the body changes caused by such dysfunctions. Some of the major components of vestibular testing include VNG, which uses goggles to track eye movement as certain tasks and tests are performed, and VEMP uses electrodes and sound stimulus to measure a response that travels from the neck muscles to the inner ear. Throughout education, activities that help stimulate the vestibular system can enhance attention and focus in the classroom. When children are engaged in physical movement, I like to think about physical education, running, jumping, playing, spinning, twirling. All of those things help to activate their vestibular sense, leading to increased alertness and improved concentration. Smell, our next sense, also known as the olfactory system. Our journey of smell first starts in the nasal cavity. But when does this system first start developing? The primary olfactory receptors are present by the 8th week of gestation and have a mature appearance by the end of the second trimester. Olfactory receptors are the hair-like parts that extend from the olfactory bulb into the mucous membrane of the nasal cavity. Taste, gustation, and smell, olfaction, are called chemical senses because both have sensory receptors that respond to molecules in the food we eat or in the air we breathe. Fun facts: taste is approximately 75% flavor. Flavor is smell. Now, that one I never really thought about, mainly because when I'm tasting food, I don't think about how it smells. Not all the time can you go to a restaurant and smell the food you're about to eat, or not in an isolated sense anyway. But when you're at home and you're cooking and you can really get a feel of those aromas, you smell them, your mouth starts to salivate, and you're like, oh, I know this is going to taste so good because I can smell it. And then when you taste it, you're just that much more satisfied. And I never really put the two together until working on this sense here. Scent cells renew every 30 to 60 days. Smell is our most memorable sense. 80% of our ability to taste comes from our ability to smell. Newborns have a strong sense of smell and prefer the smell of their own mother. And they also can smell their own amniotic fluid on their mother, which is why when you have that, it makes it easier for newborns to pinpoint exactly who their mother is. I always wondered when they always said newborns know exactly who their mothers are. That's pretty much based off the scent because they can smell their mother even after they're born, and that's how they know who their mother is, which is kind of cool. What happens when you can't smell? Well, there's a couple of things. One of the major functions is called anosmia, which is the partial or complete loss of smell. Now, this can be temporary or permanent, not always treatable. And if it can't be treated, you can get fired. If you can't be treated and you can't smell, and you're stuck in a fire or there's a fire happening and you can't smell it, or carbon monoxide, you can get detectors. And you need to pay attention to food spoilage because not every time can you smell if that cheese is bad. Sometimes you need to pay attention to the expiration dates. Sometimes those expiration dates can be wrong. Then what do you do? And it can be related to many concerning health issues. Loss of smell could cause you to lose interest in eating, leading to weight loss, malnutrition, or even depression. Some people get depressed if you can't eat, or it, honestly, smell kinds of reminds me of one of those senses or things that you take for granted. Like when you have a really bad sore throat and you can't really eat and enjoy your food, and you didn't realize how you lived a whole complete life of luxury by being able to eat and swallow your food and smell it, that you didn't realize how horrible it is and not be able to enjoy that. Yeah, I can see how that could lead to depression, all right? Especially me, I love food. Anosmics typically have to remind others that they are disabled because no one's just going to walk around assuming that you can't smell. For those who are temporarily disabled, if the underlying condition is treated, they can regain their senses through smell training. Last disability for them is hyposmia, which is a decreased sensitivity to some or all smells. So the testing for anosmics: one, there's endoscopy of the nasal passages and throat that can reveal sources of any obstruction that can cause anosmia. And there's also MRI scans. MRI scans can detect whether there is an obstruction or deformity in the soft tissues of the head and neck causing anosmia. Caring for anosmia. Most doctors try smell training for those who still have not recovered their sense of smell. They'll start by giving essential oils and having the patient smell them in the hopes they'll retain the memory of that smell. It's performed daily, 2 to 3 times a day, 10 to 20 seconds per common essential oil scent, such as eucalyptus, peppermint, lemongrass, etc. And it lasts for up to 12 weeks. And when COVID first happened and people were losing their sense of smell, you remember sense of smell and loss of taste. Those were a couple of those main things. They had to treat the anosmics for smell training and help them regain their sense of smell through smell training, which is how I found out about the 2 to 3 times a day, 10 to 20 seconds per common essential oil, and for up to 12 weeks. Anosmists cannot smell gas leaks, chemicals, smoke, rotten food, or sour liquids. Being able to smell these hazards saves lives just as often as seeing or hearing impending danger. What can cause anosmia? Nasal polyps, the common cold, the flu, congestion, a deviated septum, diabetes, smoking, obesity, high blood pressure, Alzheimer, and Parkinson's, and brain tumor, and so much more. Although Alzheimer's and Parkinson's is one of those underlying issues that could be a direct cause to anosmia, which is also something to have cause for concern about. In education, smells can evoke strong emotional responses and influence mood. By incorporating pleasant scents in the classroom, it can create a positive and welcoming atmosphere. You can relate different scents to different subjects to create multisensory learning. Also, through incorporating activities that involve smelling and identifying different scents, students can enhance their sensory awareness and cognitive skills. In conclusion, both of these senses have strong connections to memory and association. When they work together, they can create rich, multidimensional memories and associations. When you smell a particular food, combined with the experience of movement, that can create a lasting memory of a specific event. I always think about this and I think about there's like a color. I don't know why. There's a color for some reason. It's like a deep dark purple color. It reminds me of grape, but it's not grape. And there's a smell and a scent attached to it. When I see that color, it takes me back to a specific memory of when I was a child and I had something that I tasted and smelled and liked. It's just like the weirdest thing, but it's a color that reminds me of a taste and a scent from a long time ago. And I had recently, a few months ago, identified it, and then I lost it again. But I know when I when I come across it, it it will trigger some more memories again for me. But I feel like that's very interesting, and I found that to be definitely true. And I can see how this will work in the educational field because if we can incorporate more scents, there's been several classrooms where I've been in, and teachers will have diffusers. It might be like a peppermint or eucalyptus scent, something calming to the kids, and they might play classical music, get their senses heightened, maybe take them back to a period where they'll be calm and relaxed, and all these different things work. You have to awaken the senses, and you keep kids more alert. There's another reason why there's physical education, which helps with the vestibular system, which I never knew until I started this 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 PowerPoint and doing this research. So it's all very interesting, and it's cool to see how when I get my own classroom, all of these things will come into effect. Well, thank you for enjoying my presentation.